Go.
Commerce, Howard Lutnick. All right, Secretary, I mean, you've known Trump for a very long time. Have you seen this movie before?
Well, this is his movie that he's been talking about for 35 years. He said, we've been ripped off. You can go find video of him from 1988 on Oprah talking about how we're being ripped off. He finally gets to stand up for American workers, stand up for America, bring the factories back home, and get rid of this national emergency called our trade deficit, which is outrageous.
Now, we're not going to have all factories come back, like clothing manufacturing. That's tough to bring back. But what kind of manufacturing are you talking about returning here?
Well, you can't just give that away. See, what's going to happen is robotics are going to replace the cheap labor that we've seen all across the world. I mean, think of what our factories did. They went to the cheapest labor in the whole world, slave labor, cheap labor, the worst environmental conditions, polluting the heck out of it. And then we bring back those cheap products here and we feel good about ourselves because we don't see the pain. But the pain is in our workers. The American workers have been given the raw deal. And what's going to happen now is we're going to build factories and we're going to train and we're going to have trade craft. We're going to do the greatest set of training ever. And our high school educated people, they're going to train to do robotics mechanics. It's kind of like a supercharged BMW mechanic, you know, like you just can fix those robots. You can build air conditioning as an example, but that's for a fab or for a semiconductor factory. These are great paying jobs that are Americans. We're going to have 5 million of those jobs coming. And America is going to retool. It's going to do manufacturing, and robotics can sew as well. You've never seen anything like what you're going to see, the renaissance of American manufacturing coming because Donald Trump is bringing them back. He's driving them back. $6 trillion, he said today, he's got committed to America. It's unbelievable.
You said I was going to have 5 robots. So the American workers could.
$6 trillion already being invested in our economy thanks to these tariffs. Unbelievable. Trump, well done, sir. I know the stock market didn't like it, but we all knew that was going to happen, didn't we, folks? Anyways, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Ace Report. Tonight, we're going to talk about what's coming. Is this the beginning of the big one, the big crash that we've been saying and expecting could be happening any time? Did Trump finally trigger it? And I'm going to show you guys what Democrats used to say about all this, and it might surprise you. It might surprise you, but in the meantime, I want to start out. I missed you guys last night, so I'm going to shout out some peeps tonight, and then we'll get going because the community always comes first on the Ace Report. By the way, like and subscribe if you're new. I think you might like the show if you become part of the community because it is truly the best community on YouTube. And I'm not just saying that. Wago Waco, numero uno tonight. What is up? Kimberly P. What's going on? Cass Sink, Country Computer, Zach Butterfield, Sooner Man. He eats carburetors for breakfast. Moody Waters, good to see you, Moody. The Moodster. Hobbs, the one. What to do? US1. Vince Felice. James Lee, what's going on? Billy Koopa, so now what? Agent Orange. You couldn't repost on X. What the heck? Chad Yunkin, Troy Mann, Big JR, all right. Boogie One, Hero, Curtis Hatcher, what's going on? Fro Girl, let's go G-Bucks. Oh, G-Bucks looks so juicy, I gotta say. Patrice Smith, Joe Scarpaja, Marco Sanchez, Jeremy Bodo, CJ Yukon, what's going on? Sooner Man calling for the other song. I'll do it again, don't worry. It's so much longer. So when I'm running late, I usually run the shorter intro. I'll go back and forth. I got to keep you guys off guard, keep you showing up. Alan Krentz wants to know where the members only live is. And I missed it this week because I was not feeling well on Tuesday. So I will make it up to you guys probably this weekend. Or maybe we'll have a Friday night members only and have some fun. We'll see how it goes. Lyrical Gary Dush, Barb Swallows, Dar Daddy, Liquid Skittle, Brett Montgomery says the crash today was a complete overreaction. You might be right about that. You might be. They did love the tariffs. Yancey, what's up? Jordan, better not have tariffs on carburetors. Get skinny fast. Phil's old man roasted shorts in the morning. I love it. Randy says, I heard Lutnick's in good with Wall Street. Any guy who's pushing tariffs the way he is not in good with Wall Street. I'll tell you that right now. Kilvy, what's going on? Jasmine Crockett has a law license. Oh my God. Yo Cholo. Yo Cholo. What's up? All right, guys. This is where we left off the market today. Extreme fear down to 8. The most amount of fear in 3 years. Oh, those poor, scared Wall Street people. What are they ever going to do? It's so terrible. They're so sad. Everybody likes the Members Live Friday night. All right, I'll see what I can do. I've been very tired lately. It's been a crazy long week. Big JR, market's been overdue for a correction for a long time. I know, it's crazy. But Trump's giving them the excuse. The question is, will it continue, or was today a one-off? I want to share with you guys a couple interesting theories. Now, I'm going to be just open and honest with you guys. I don't know. I could see it going both ways, and I'm going to present as we go through everything tonight. You're going to see how it could go both ways as we get through this. So I don't know. But there are reasons where you could actually see it crashing like crazy the next week and into the rest of the month. And there are reasons to think it could rebound really strong. And we're really in uncharted territory. It has been a very long time, not counting something like COVID. It's been a very long time since we've been hit with a market shock like this from policy. Okay, we got COVID. That was, the shutdowns, all that, the pandemic, that along with the Fed probably jiggering that one. You get 2008, which was a buildup of stuff. This one is neither. This is a policy change. And we didn't see that in 87. We didn't see it in 2000. So this is interesting. And we really haven't been here before. But we all know the market is extremely fragile already. So the question is it enough to push it over? And that's what we're going to be exploring tonight. So I'm going to share some ideas. I really liked this post right here. And let me read it to you guys who are listening like podcasters. Personal opinion, not financial advice, says, I don't know why I read that part. Who cares? It's not me talking. It says, I sincerely believe everything has been fake in the U.S. stock and housing market since 2020. My friend, it must be a young guy. It has been all fake since 2008. But yes, 2020 made it much worse. But he's not wrong about the first statement. It was a worldwide pandemic with almost all GDPs halting, yet our stock and housing were at all-time highs within a few months. Trillions of dollars instantly pumped in the markets by the Fed kicked the can down the road a little longer. We knew we were going to have to pay for this. Every other country was in pandemic recession, budgeting our finances. We were printing, spending like our country won the lottery. He's not wrong. First came sky-high inflation. Now comes a coordinated market crash to bring us back to reality. Fed can't cut interest rates because inflation's already going up again. And that is exactly right. The only way they can is if everything crashes, people have trillions of dollars less and they will spend less. In other words, deflation. Deflation gives the Fed an out. And that would give an out for crashing market or for crashing interest rates, bond rates, all of it for refinancing, which is coming up very soon too for Treasury notes, which would really, really help our government get out of some of the mess they're in. This will cause the price of goods to drop dramatically, and the Fed can cut its rates with ease until our markets get back to 2020 levels. The rest is fake, in my opinion. Yes, this means another 40% more drop. In other words, getting down to mid-20s, low 20s on the Dow. And, I could definitely see that. I've been saying it myself. I truly expect that when it really goes, we're looking at anywhere from 40 to 60%. And if it really unwinds, if things are extremely bad, maybe 80%. Now, I'm starting to think that Trump and the team are getting ahead of it in a way that they're going to prevent the worst of the worst. So that is that's where it's going to get interesting, is how far it goes before it turns around. Quad Racer, welcome. You look new. I haven't seen your name before. He says it's a fake crash to make Trump look bad. The crash was made by Joe Biden. Called us 5 months ago. Well, my friend, first of all, I agree with you that Biden was part of setting this up, but this has also been set up by the globalists in general for almost 2 decades now. But but it's not just to make Trump look bad. They were going to trash it anyways to bring about their economy. If Kamala had won, they were still going to crash. In fact, probably crash it much, much worse, because there'd be no policies. And yeah, you're going to fit right in here, because I've been talking about this for 2.5 years. So welcome Quad Racer to the crew. I hope you subscribe and become part of the Ace-keteers, or the ace holes, as they like to call themselves, these dirty dogs. Lyrical says market crash forces people to buy American bond more. Bond purchase forces Jerome to lower interest rates in May. Absolutely. Well, we get Ace Tards t-shirts. Hero asks, I'm still working on them, buddy, but soon. Randy says tariff policy is real economic build back better. I think it definitely is a part of it. Chris G, what's up, man? I saw your Canada post today, bud. There's good stuff. Good stuff. All Man says we are not done with the pain yet. And Uncle Andy asks, I sure hope it doesn't drop that much. All my money's in the stock market. Uncle Andy, friend, all I can say is that if it does, it's, you've been warned for a long time that something was coming. I've been trying to put it out there that something bad is going to come in the stock market. And I don't think it's going to get up to these massive high levels, like 40,000 the Dow again, for a very long time. I really don't. And the reason is because this is all inflated. I think Trump is going to reset the markets, and it's going to become a real stock market again. But because of that, it won't be so hyperinflated. Plus the AI bubble and everything. So, man, yeah, I'm sorry to tell you, Andy, if there's, I could see one more big rally coming, before the boom. But I think once these things finally correct, and it's going to be a major correction, I don't think it's ever going to get back to these levels for 5-10 years at the quickest. And it just has to happen. It has to happen. So I would definitely diversify if I were you, or get into some safer stuff. So one of my favorite people covering the market is just Dario. This guy's unbelievable. If you guys aren't following Dario, what are you doing? His stuff is unreal. He is on top of it all the time. And I love his stuff. And he says, if this breaks, he's watching the USD compared to the Japan for the carry trade, the yen versus the dollar. As this unwinds, if it unwinds, it's going to be bad times, because this is where a lot of that liquidity is tied up. And if this keeps going down, all that money is going to come out of the markets. So, and he writes, if this breaks and keeps falling, breaks 145 and keeps falling like a knife through butter, tomorrow, the 4th of July, will be liquidation day. And he's got April 2nd, Liberation Day, April 3rd, margin call day, and tomorrow, liquidation day, which means if this continues to drop, tomorrow could be even worse. And in fact, much, much worse. Corey Jones with the $5 super chat. Thank you, Corey. And I'll consider a donation since you didn't add a comment, but appreciate it, sir. Appreciate the support greatly. Thank you so much. Love it. Chris G says Trump is removing the flotation devices within this market so it can ultimately operate normally and freely. 100% true. 100% true. We will be praying for Canadians. We've been praying for you guys at the end of the lives. Big JR says, why didn't Sleepy Joe refinance our debt when interest rates were essentially zero? I don't know. Ask yourself. One of those interesting questions. one of those interesting questions that makes you say, huh, maybe this was purposeful. Brett says, I'm done with stocks. I'm starting my own NGO. Well, it's a bad time to start it, man. USAID is gone. That's where you were going to get the money, bro. He says the ARIF, American Return Investment Fund, International Return Investment Fund, those outside domestic returns shouldn't have borders, just buffers. Oh my God, Brett. I'm so glad you're in this place. You fit right in, my friend. Stony Bones all in. Kid says the UVIX 48% economic war is on. Well, we knew it had to happen. We knew it had to happen. So Corey, he said, what's up? Been busy. I feel you, man. I appreciate you. I really do. Chris says, if our elections are real, we'll be fined. I'm concerned. I would be concerned too. I don't think you have real elections. I think Canada is way far down the rabbit hole on leftist, socialist, globalist control. And it's going to take a major move from the people to pull it back. It really will. Cindy Lou says, tariffs already working on automaker opening up a new factory in Indiana, I think in Fort Wayne. I saw that. Yeah, it's excellent. Lyrical, wondering what it'll do to short its stock margin call. Yeah, so about that stock, so far they've been holding it off. And Dario had a very interesting post on that. Let me pull it up here. Where was it? He wrote about why the margin calls haven't really happened yet. And let me see here. Maybe it was earlier. Maybe I already missed it. I wanted to read it the way he broke it down because it made a lot more sense. He did such a good job with it. It's plunge. Okay, yeah, here it is. VIX closed exactly at 30. I believe the plunge protection team figured its actions were becoming too obvious, considering the blatant market distortions many were observing, had to make some adjustment, still made sure no volume shorts faced forced liquidation. In other words, he's calling out that he believes the plunge protection team was injecting some liquidity to protect some major shorts, probably Citadel, Virtue, from being forced to liquidate today. So that means, if that's true, though, that means they were actually very close to having massive margin calls, which means, guys, we're getting closer all the time to something breaking. So it's getting exciting. It's getting exciting. Trump is starting to break them. He's getting closer and closer. And so that's extremely exciting. Okay, let me keep moving here. All right. If you guys did not see this, and I think I played a little bit of it the other night, but I want to show it again. This is Batya Ungar something. I can't remember her last name. I kind of getting a crush on her. She's so genius. But this is her on the tariffs. And I know I've been playing, I think I played this last night, but I want to play it again because this first 2 minutes, because she sums up so well why the tariffs are needed and why they're going to work. And this woman is so smart, and she's nailing it. And she was a lefty who's been won over by Trump. And so she has an interesting story on that. But anyways, listen to what she says. It's so good.
What I find so frustrating about the conversation around tariffs is that we all agree on the problem. We all agree that the deindustrialization of America led to the downward mobility of the American working class, deaths of despair, people working multiple jobs and not being able to afford the American dream. We all agree that it is deeply unfair for the American middle class to be bearing the burden of unfair tariffs from other countries. We all agree that it is great for the president to have leverage in order to demand reasonable things, like that countries stop allowing fentanyl to murder 100,000 Americans every year, and that Mexico do its part to police its own border. And yet when somebody has the courage to show up and say to Wall Street, screw you, I am waging war. I am waging class warfare on behalf of the American working class. And you elites in Wall Street, you do what you need to do, because I'm not going to stop fighting for the American working class. Suddenly, everybody is sitting around going, oh no, the stock market. Yeah, the stock market looks like that because the rich are punishing Trump for siding with the neglected and humiliated American working class over them. We have already seen these tariffs work, Pierce. The number of people crossing the southern border is at zero. Fentanyl is at record lows for the last 10 years. We have already seen $1.2 trillion in manufacturing invested in this country since January 21st. So they have already worked. Now, how long is Wall Street going to keep trying to punish this president for standing the American working class? I don't know, but I can tell you that the view from the street is people cannot believe that there is a president who is working for them.
Boom. Oh my gosh. It's a good thing I'm a happily married man, because I'm falling in love with this woman. She is she is unbelievable. She speaks it so well. She's saying exactly what I've been saying here for so long, for all the people who just do not get what Trump is doing. This woman gets it. She gets it. It's amazing to hear this in the media. You know, it feels good. I said this the other night. I don't care. I'm going to repeat myself because I can't get over it, because more and more people keep doing this. But the things we've been saying on this show that you guys have been watching, you guys have been a part of, you've heard me say over and over for years. It's going in the media now. People are actually saying the things I've been saying. You know how good that feels? You know how good it feels to actually know that, like, people are waking up on this level, that there's actually people who are in these circles of power that are talking the way we talk. It feels really, really good. And she's awesome. She just nailed exactly what is going on with Trump and with these tariffs and with what he's doing with the economy. I love it. Yeah, Sooner, man. That's why I said she's a lefty who came over to Trump. She's great. She's great. And I don't agree with her on every little thing, but man, she gets it on this. And it's powerful how she's promoting it. She's blasting these people. I mean, there's Jank up there. Carrie Lake was, of course, on her side. And then there's this British woman trying to be all above it all and explain to everybody how this is so disastrous for the economy and how could Donald Trump do this to the world. And of course, Pierce is just hoping they all fight. That's all Pierce does. Pierce just hopes they all fight, so it's good television. I gotta say, Pierce Morgan is kind of a POS, but his show is fantastic. I watch it all the time. He gets some good fights out of these people. I love it. So, Matthew Parker, holy smokes, man. $100 super chat from Matthew Parker. Thank you, brother. He says, Ham, Ace, and family, thanks for everything you guys do. Not legal advice, and JR, can't thank you enough. Thank you for fighting. Matthew Parker, my man, you are so welcome. Thank you for the support. All you guys who support the channel. But Matthew, you've been especially supportive. So calling you out tonight. Thank you, man. Gosh, man, I am so humbled by you guys. You guys are just so amazing lately. And Matt, you've been so awesome to me lately. So thank you, brother. Thank you. I'm not going anywhere. Not going anywhere. Just going to keep speaking truth out and telling you guys like I see it and doing my best to be 6 months ahead of the news like we have been. If you guys watch this show, I'd say we're literally 3 to 6 months ahead of the news most nights. Wouldn't you guys say that? I think that's right. We've had a great track record, especially in the last year, of being ahead of everything. And also Rick L has joined. Thank you, Rick L, for joining and becoming a member. I appreciate it, man. You're the best. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it. Oh, dude, Matt, did you just do another one? No. Matt, are you serious right now? I hope that wasn't a mistake. If that's a mistake, I'll refund you the difference. But if not, wow, back-to-back $100 super chats. Unbelievable. Wow, Matthew Parker. Brother, that's awesome. Thank you. And I hope you make all of that back 10 to 100 times more in G-Bucks tomorrow and this weekend. Wow. Thank you, man. Awesome. Okay. Whew, let's keep going down this. I am humbled right now. I'm very humbled. This is amazing. Amazing. So, all right. Darth Powell, this is another great follow on Twitter, but says the best signal of a coming market crash is the credit risk spreads. So I wonder what that's. Oh my God. The risk spread is now up to 406 BPS. Whew. Now that, my friends, that's a lot. I don't know. Does that look like a lot to you guys? I would say so. My God. Best signal of a coming market crash. So again, we're seeing lots of signals that could say something much bigger is coming. Much bigger is coming. The question is, does it taper off over the night? Futures were red, but not that bad. Nothing that says major crash yet. So it's going to have to be something that really picks up momentum over tomorrow, starting tomorrow morning, and we'll just see where it goes. But definitely be watching Japan USD. So here I wanted to share this tonight too, because this is just awesome as well. We get our man JD Vance, the greatest VP in history, and it's only been 2.5 months. Watch how he breaks down what Trump's doing with the economy and with his tariffs, and it is such a blessing to know that this man is not only right behind the most powerful man in the world right now, but he's also going to be our next president. I'm just telling you guys right now, it's going to happen. You can't be this well-spoken, this well-liked by the base, this young with this kind of a record, and this beloved by the MAGA who runs the Republican Party now, and not win. Plus, anyways, I have a feeling that by the end of this 4 years, Trump's second term is going to be a roaring success, which means he's going to be a lock to lock up the nomination and then the election. But listen to this. It's just this is the kind of thing that just makes you love him more.
Explain to us how you get manufacturing here, but also get the cost down for the American people.
Well, if you go back a little bit, Lawrence, remember during the first Trump administration, everybody said that Trump's tariffs were going to be inflationary back then. What actually happened? We had 1.5% inflation. We had the fastest growing economy in a generation, and we had the beginning of a manufacturing renaissance in the United States of America. Then, of course, we had 4 terrible years of the Biden administration. But I think it's useful for all of us to step back and ask ourselves, what has the globalist economy gotten the United States of America? And the answer is fundamentally it's based on 2 principles: incurring a huge amount of debt to buy things that other countries make for us. And to make it a little bit more crystal clear, we borrow money from Chinese peasants to buy the things those Chinese peasants manufacture. That is not a recipe for economic prosperity. It's not a recipe for low.
I love what he says right there. What has this globalist policy got in the U.S.? Just a whole bunch of debt. I mean, he just nails it on the head. And again, it just feels so good to hear. Literally, probably you could argue the second most powerful person in the world saying what we say when we talk about this stuff here we used to be the ether. I mean, I was banned like from Twitter, all this stuff. I mean, you couldn't speak free. I got cut off of Facebook during COVID. I mean, you couldn't say these things. And now we have people saying it in power. It's unbelievable.
Prices, and it's not a recipe for good jobs in the United States of America. For 40 years, we have gone down that pathway. We've seen closing factories. We've seen rising inflation. We've seen the cost of housing so high that most Americans can't afford to buy a home right now. President Trump is taking this economy in a different direction. He ran on that. He promised it, and now he's delivering. And yes, this is a big change. I'm not going to shy away from it, but we needed a big change, Lawrence. We cannot keep going down the Joe Biden globalist pathway where we have $2 trillion of peacetime debt and deficits. We have manufacturing disappearing. That is not working for Americans. We've got to take this country in a different direction.
Man, Just so good. I mean, this is, he's unbelievable. And exact, again, saying what we've been saying. I mean, how long have I been shouting out there? Ham been saying it, Pedro, you guys watching all this happen. How long have we all been saying something has to give? This can no longer continue. The end is here. And we prayed and we fought for the 2024 election so hard because we knew we were at the end. And being at the end, we knew that whoever was in power was going to dictate the wave of the future, where it was going. And thank God we got Trump and Vance in instead of Kamala and the leftist socialist horde that would completely have destroyed America in this turning point, this crisis that's coming. So again, just it gives me so much hope. Gretchen, what's going on over there? Says still listen to all the lives, but not much during the live. Still here. I'm so glad, Gretchen. You're one of the OGs, and it's good to know. I always miss some of the OGs who don't chat as much, so good to know you're there. Alan says, I've been in this before, overconfidence thinking the country changed. What happened in Wisconsin with the judges? Listen, Alan, you're right in the sense that we can't be overconfident. And I'm not overconfident. I'm just extremely confident. There is a difference. What I'll tell you, though, is that you're wrong that things haven't changed. Things have changed. What happened in Wisconsin, that was a special election. Special elections turnout is very hard to gin up. The Republican Party failed in the special election by only actively getting involved in the last week. Elon got involved the last week. The Democrats were planning on doing that. Cholo, you're out. I don't. What the heck are you? Are you just here to troll? It's not just words. You just don't get it, do you? Anyways, what I was saying, Alan, is that it was a special election. The Democrats were planning on it for months. They were already gunning for that election because the Democrats are a more organized machine when it comes to this. Also, that election is stolen. I'm just going to flat out say it. The Wisconsin election doesn't make sense. And we are just now, Trump's only been in there 2.5 months, gotten the DOJ up and running. FBI is barely going so far with cash because he's still cleaning it out, but they are still getting stuff done. We are just now getting to the point where elections are going to be overseen in a better way. Like we're getting actual regulations on the elections that are common sense. Okay, so that's just now starting. Now our midterms will be much more like we won in 2022. The Republicans did, and that was without Trump out there from the bully pulpit. So, and without all a DOJ that would be enforcing this stuff, looking over it. So do not overthink that Wisconsin election. Don't overthink it. If that hadn't have come up so soon, it would have been a completely different story. It would have been a completely different story. And we're also talking presidential elections now. The Republican Party is now the party of the people, which means it's going to be much more difficult for Democrats to win presidential election years from now on for a long time because it's completely shifted who votes Republican now. Democrats now are the party of the college educated and the elites, and they have suffered a blow. This election was like the 1980 election, whereas they just got so destroyed in ways they just never saw coming. It completely recalibrated the country. And on top of that, even after that win, we're getting a Justice Department that's going to actually look over the elections. We're getting election reforms. Trump's already pushing them through executive order, and hopefully the House and Senate step up and vote it through, make it actual law. But a lot of this is happening. Investigations are happening. So don't go black-pilled either, Alan. Don't go black-pilled. That Wisconsin election, nothing changed. Do you realize that as well? They already had a 4-3 liberal court, and now they have a 4-3 liberal court again. Nothing changed. So don't overthink it. We won the 2 House seats in Florida, which we needed to, and we won them handily. And elections in Wisconsin will never be the same after that election because the people also voted in to the Wisconsin Constitution. It's now in a constitutional amendment in Wisconsin. They have to have voter ID. So all of that happened at the same time. So don't worry. Don't overthink that election. Okay. Just letting you know. And yes, a lot could happen between now and 2028, and bad things could happen. Vance and Trump could screw up. Anything can happen. But as of right now, we're looking at Trump is the people's president. The people love Trump, and Vance is growing on the people very quickly. If Vance keeps doing this, it's going to be easy. People are just going to want the third Trump term, and they'll get it by voting in Vance. It's just like what happened with Bush in '88. People wanted more Reagan, and the only way they could do that, they thought, was to get Bush his VP in. Obviously, that didn't work out that well because Bush is a major globalist. But that's what the people voted for. They thought they were going to get. All right, let's keep going. We got a very interesting exchange that happened with Trump today, and I wanted you guys to hear this, because this is just, he said some really interesting stuff here.
The markets today are way down. The worst day in years because of the tariffs. So how's it going?
I think it's going very well. It was an operation, like when a patient gets operated on, and it's a big thing. I said this would exactly be the way it is. We have $6 or $7 trillion coming into our country, and we've never seen anything like it. The markets are going to boom, the stock is going to boom, the country is going to boom, and the rest of the world wants to see, is there any way they can make a deal? They've taken advantage of us for many, many years. For many years, we've been at the wrong side of the ball, and I'll tell you what, I think it's going to be unbelievable.
So Trump calls it an operation. He says right here, he tweeted this earlier. He says, operation's over. The patient lived and is healing. Prognosis of the patient will be far stronger, bigger, better, and more resilient than ever before. Make America great again. So Trump's out there pushing this strange narrative about an operation happening. Now, you could just go on the most basic level and say they just got the tariffs done. And obviously that's a major part of it. But this language, this whole thing's in caps too. And you remember, Trump's always communicating a little bit more than what he's actually saying. He's getting messaging out, and he likes to give heads up to thinking through, like, what could we mean by that? What's possible? What are they really doing behind the scenes? And to me, this signals that he called yesterday Liberation Day. Today he says that the operation is over and the patient is healing. In other words, they are looking at this as something fundamentally changing. Obviously, the patient must be our economy, and the operation is the tariffs, the shock to the system, you could say. I wonder if he knows something else is coming from this that could. This is where I start wondering, like, could something happen that's going to, move the economy ahead in a way that it might not hit that massive recession or borderline depression we've been thinking of. So I don't know, but it's Trump, his language around this whole tariffs thing tells me that this is actually, to them, one of the biggest things they've implemented. And that's kind of shocking if you think about it, because it doesn't seem like, it seems like policy and we could see major changes down the road, but they're acting like this really will shift everything. And so I wonder just what they know about that. Drew says, I think it was the stock market. I don't think it was just the stock market. I don't think so. They don't seem that concerned about the stock market this time, Robert says, won the Florida seats handily. Yes, they did. Don't turn it into something it's not. I know you're going to you're giving the spin, the media. It's not okay. It's not spin. They did lose points based on Trump to that. But dude, again, the Republican voters are no longer the high interest voters. Okay. They're just not. And they thought in an off-year election, not even an off-year election, this was a special election, which always has low turnout, People are just not going to show up. And so the fact that those seats were won by double digits and the Republicans didn't even have to try. The Democrats outspent the Republican candidates in those districts 10-1. 10-1. It wasn't like the Republicans barely spent anything, and they still won by double digits. This is why don't ever, ever, ever buy what the media is telling you, and don't ever buy into the fear. There's always so much more going on than what they tell you. And the Republicans didn't even try in those elections, and they won by double digits. So again, don't spin me all this stuff. You're feeding me the narratives that they want to put fear into us. There's no reason to worry. There's no reason to worry. But what you're doing is you're buying into the fear that the media wants you to feel, that the Democrats are somehow coming back and Trump is supremely unpopular now. Do you know Trump's daily tracking polls haven't even gone under 50% yet? That's Rasmussen, which was the second most accurate pollster of the last two elections behind Atlas Intel. Their daily tracking poll hasn't had Trump under 50% once yet. Trump is killing it, even with all this intense policy stuff, Doge, all the stuff that the media is freaking out about. And meanwhile, the Democrats' approval is in the low 20s. They are tanking. And we're supposed to worry about an election we won by 10 points. Get out of here. Come on. Don't spin that crap in here. I don't fall for it. I will never fall for that stuff. Okay. And you guys watch me because I don't fall for it. All right. I'm always going to tell you guys what's actually going on. I'm not 100% right. And sometimes you guys know stuff I don't know. Absolutely. And that's why I love the chat and I love to engage with the chat. But the point is this election was not a big deal. They made it a big deal. The Wisconsin seat would have been awesome. It would have been a huge win for us. But we lost something we'd already not had. So if we won, it would have been massive. The fact we didn't win. But we won? We won voter ID. Guess what happened in the last election? Not one state with voter ID voted blue. Not one. So voter ID in Wisconsin means Wisconsin is now a red state. It's just how it is right now. So you guys, that was the biggest win. That was the biggest win. We got voter ID in Wisconsin's constitution. That's massive. And nobody wants to talk about that because that doesn't fit the narrative. That doesn't fit the narrative. So, we're winning. We're still winning. Even with Trump right now this is when this first 100 days, this is when Trump is doing all the stuff that freaks people out. The tariffs, the cuts, Doge, he's pushing it. Why? Because it's genius. This is when you do it. You do it when the American people are like, well, what? But you do it fast and right up front because you have 2 years to the midterm. And so it's got plenty of time for the effects to go into place. The people forget about the shock and they get to see the results. And then they vote for you again. They love you again. So Trump's doing this all up front because of that reason. People are talking about the midterms right now. Do you understand how far the midterms are away in political terms? It's April. The midterms aren't until November of 2026. That is 19 months away. In 19 months in political terms, it might as well be a decade. That's how far away the midterms are. There is nothing to be worried about right now. Not one thing. The fact Trump's approval is still tracking around 50% with all they're doing, with the way they're shocking the nation right now, the way the media is attacking him, it means there's nothing to worry about. These are huge wins. This is not the way the game used to be played. And I understand a lot of people who've been following politics for a long time, older people, you guys have never seen this before because none of us have. you've always seen the first 100 days, like they try to do the stuff that's kind of popular, makes them makes everybody feel good. They ride the high of their high approval because they just came in. Trump said, F all that. I'm doing the hard stuff right away. I'm just going to keep going. And it's genius because it actually matters. The last president who did anything even close to this, and it still wasn't close, but it was the closest, was Reagan. Because Reagan came into that awful economy. Him and Paul Volcker got together. They said, let's raise the snot out of interest rates in order to fix this economy. They did it, highly unpopular. Interest rates soared up into the high teens and 20s, went nuts. The people said, oh my God, what are you doing? Massive recession hit. And then by 82, it all turned around and things were humming. The economy was humming. And that's what Trump's doing. And that's why this is way too early to worry about anything. It's just, don't worry about those elections. We got the 2 House seats and we got voter ID. That's massive wins. We didn't even lose a judge seat. We just didn't take one back. So it's not worth worrying about. It's really not. All right. Want some good news? Jim Cramer doesn't like the tariffs.
And I do not believe it.
Let's hear him, what Cramer has to say. Because remember, anytime Cramer says something, he's wrong. So let's just hear what he says real quick.
Over and over again, the president said, listen, it's going to be reciprocal. So you do it, we do it. And that was going to be so good. And I really believed in it. And I feel like a sucker tonight because I am not a free trader and I do not believe in free trade. And I was just as tough, if not tougher than his people, but they screwed it up. And they did it a totally ill-advised way. And I was very let down as someone who really, truly believes that free trade is awful for the American working person. This is what they came up with. Jeez, come on, have some gumption, have some math. Over and over again,
I'm very let down. I'm very disappointed. I'm Jim Cramer. My God, this guy is such a joke. The reverse Cramer index has been killing it, and I believe it will continue to crush things because that is that's just funny. This poll ran on X, Kobisi letter, shows you just what the people are thinking. Now, obviously, this isn't everybody in America, and it's probably closer, but it just gives you a good shot. Like 69,000 votes, 56% of people support the tariffs, and this shows you at least the engaged people are still on the president's side in this during one of the most controversial things any president has done in a very long time. So, I mean, we're winning, guys. And even if the stock market crashes, even if it goes down, people aren't going to blame Trump that much. It's too early for that. If it was further along in his term, if this was year 2.5, 3, and the stock market crashed, yeah, they'd blame him and he'd really suffer for it because at that point he mostly owns it. He's had a lot of time. It's so early. It's so early that a lot of people are still going to remember this as Biden's economy. They're not going to blame Trump for it yet. I mean, we even have people like Charles Payne out here just calling it out because everybody's okay with this. Everybody who has a brain anyways. It's like, this is just funny. So after maybe 40, 50 years investing, you're wiped out from 11% correction. He's already calling out people like, and Charles Payne is all about what Trump's doing. And so we have people in the media who see it. People are making light of these people whining out there about their little correction. Look, it's really hard. And I get if it crashes further, then I'd actually feel bad for some people unprepared. Okay, if we go down 20, 30, 40%, then I'll feel bad. But what's going on right now, people complaining about their portfolios right now, are you serious? We haven't had major corrections in the stock market since 2020, and even that was so short-lived, and then they pumped it. We really haven't had a major correction in the market since 08, 09. And that is one of the longest bull markets ever, if not the longest. And not only is it's the biggest bull market ever because it's hyperinflated. And so you get all this money. It's really hard to feel bad if if you've been invested for 20 years and your portfolio right now is down 10%. Well, you know what? It's up 300% since you started investing in 08 and probably even more with compound interest. Really hard to feel bad for these people. It really is. And guess what? The vast majority of people think like that now. They're just like, like, we can't buy a house. We're not worried about your portfolio. And again, there are good people who will get hurt in this, and that sucks. But it's like we are, and we have. If you benefit from a fake system, you also have to pay the price for that benefiting. You just do. And that sucks because a lot of people are refusing. They just wanted to check out and never pay attention to their money. And they got wealthy on it. They might have gotten lucky, bought a house low. It blew up because of these asset inflations. They might have just bought some stocks in their 401k and it's crushing it now. It's just like, look, good for you. You made your money. You got to check out. You still come home from work. You eat your ice cream, drink a beer, watch Netflix, and don't watch any of it. But it's like you've made so much for doing so little and not having to be an active investor. Eventually, that's going to bite you in the butt, man. It just is. And that's the problem, is that this is going to be a wake-up call for so many people. Mustang Dave says, why is everyone, including you, missing the 20% correction that occurred in 22? That's a great question, because that one didn't feel massive. I don't know why. It's so easy to forget. You're right. It happened. And we actually had a recession that year that the media won't call a recession. We had two back-to-back quarters of negative GDP growth, which is the technical term for recession. And yet, because it's Joe Biden, we don't call it a recession because the Democrat was in there. 2022 wasn't great. It wasn't great. And I think, Dave, you know why? I think the real reason why, Dave, nobody thinks about it is because it was a slow burn down. It wasn't a crash. And because the bounce back has been so massive. What is it? The Dow got down to like 27,000 in 2022, something like that. And now it hit 46,000. I mean, it's like, that's why we don't talk about 2022, because it wasn't like people were panic selling out. I remember watching closely in 2022, kind of like waiting and seeing if there would be the crash, but they didn't. They pumped it and did what they needed to do to keep the good times rolling, the fake good times. So that's why we don't talk about 2022. So it just didn't matter. It just, everybody, if you just stayed in it, your money was fine. And now it's probably doubled or more. So 2022 just kind of was like a meh, but you're right. I mean, I guess to be completely accurate, we should talk about it. All right, more on the market, guys. Here's some crazy stuff right here. Matthew says Charles Payne's the best. He's great. I love him. Kramer needs octagon participant therapy. We don't care about him, Drew. You're right, but it's still fun to make fun of him. I always do. Kirsten Shaughnessy posting some really interesting stuff on the SEC today. What's going on in the market. So look at this crazy story. By the way, follow Kirsten. She's an amazing reporter, loves retail, and does an excellent job covering the fraud in the markets. The CAT system found 443.7 million options errors from one day. How is that possible, my friends? That is insane. We know why Wall Street and the politicians who need their donations don't like the CAT. It exposes market manipulation. This is just insane. Look at this. Options, industry aggregate trade data, date statistics, February 14th to February 28th. And you just see process accepted, late, overall errors. And then just out of nowhere, it's 200,000, 600,000, 1.8, 1.8, 443 million on February 21st. How does anybody make money in this market if your name's not Citadel? I mean, with that kind of manipulation, that is insane. And yet we still haven't seen arrests, and I get it. The SEC, the new SEC chair is not in yet, but this tells you that they are still operating the SEC like it doesn't matter. Doge, man, I hope Doge comes in and just outs all this stuff. I mean, we need this talked about on a massive level. JR says, because they use options to naked short. Absolutely, 100%. Ham has talked about it. Pedro talks about it. They are, they're using the options to crush everything. And I also think they're coming to the point where it's their game's starting to run out. It's starting to run out. And it's just not, this can't continue much longer. The noose is getting tighter. The noose is getting tighter. I think these tariffs are a big one. You know, I've heard a couple times, and that the wealthy, it's being floated out there. The wealthy today let the market tank on purpose to hurt Trump. I actually don't think that's true. I actually think there's panic. I really do. I think they are freaking out because they didn't think he had the guts to do it. They thought Trump, man, I gotta give him just, he's the best. He is the best marketer, the best story builder when it comes to like a framework in the political world that I've ever seen. Think about what he did the last 2 months leading up to this. Tariff on, tariff off. He was like Mr. Miyagi, tariff on, tariff off, tariff on, tariff off. And he convinced the market makers that he wasn't serious, that he'd cave, that he wasn't going to do much with the tariffs. He was just going to keep using them to get deals that he'd get right away, or he'd keep backing out and giving extensions. And what does he do on April 2nd? Reciprocal tariffs. They think he's going to come out with maybe a 10% tariff on everybody, just something small to just make a statement and then maybe set it up to back up already. He comes out and drops a bomb and says, here you go. India, you got 95% tariffs on you. I'm hitting you with 47%, half of it. I'm just knocking you. He just blasted them, and they don't know what to do. And that's why they're freaking out. It's awesome. And he completely set them up for it. And so I don't think they did this. I really don't. When was the last time the market in one day, the Dow was down 1,700 points? I don't remember. That we've had a couple thousand drops, but 1,700, that's more than they usually let happen. So just crazy. Absolutely crazy. Candace, what's going on? Good to see you, friend. Are we hitting? Oh, we're almost at 100 likes. Hit the like and subscribe. Thank you so much. It's good to see you. Thomas Dubois says, overseas terroristic groups robbing the Americans via market manipulation, borrowing market maker status, unregulated family offices, weak ass regulation. 100%. Brett says, think of the nominal value of 443 millionaires. It's insane. It is. It is so crazy. It kind of just defies belief. Johnny says, thanks for the spot and on analysis. You're welcome. Joe Biden avoided the recession by changing the definition to also having less jobs and had the government create fake no-show jobs. 100%. But Biden actually just piggybacked on what Obama had already done. You know, the unemployment rate, how they tabulated it, they changed it under Obama to make it look not as bad as it was. In the Great Recession, when American unemployment's like 8-9%, it was actually much worse. It was actually much worse. So that, my friends, has been going on a long time that they fudged the unemployment numbers. Brett says Dow tumbled almost 1,700 points to end the day, just below 40,500. Marks worst single session decline since June 11, 2020. So there you go. Not since COVID have we seen it. So yeah, wild. All right, another story from Kirsten, and this one should just make you mad. Even the SEC's whistleblower program has become unaccountable and secretive pathway for SEC employees to enrich themselves after leaving the agency at the expense of legitimate whistleblowers. In effect, the SEC has outsourced the screening of whistleblower tips. This is insane. They've outsourced the screening of whistleblower tips and other investigative functions to a small group of lawyers and professional whistleblowers, many of whom previously worked at the agency. This group now claims the lion's shares of award payouts, almost $600 million in 2023 alone. In other words, success in the federal whistleblower programs depends less on the quality of the tip and more on how well connected you are. You wonder why the people who are calling it out like the real fraud aren't getting anything? Well, now we know. It's a racket. The whistleblower deal is a total racket. They are robbing us every which way they can. So you get out of the SEC, you walk next door to the whistleblower program, you say, hey, check it out. I know something. And they say, oh, Bob, how's it going? It's good to see you. And Bob says, yeah, I tell you what, I saw Jill hit the space key when she should have hit the shift key. And they say, oh my God, what happened? He says, well, $5 was lost on a trade. Bob, that's incredible. Thank you for whistleblowing. Here's your $1 million. And Bob says, thank you for my retirement. And walks off. Next, they call in Jill. And it's the same thing over and over again. That is a scam. That's insane. That's our government is so much worse than anybody wants to admit, except those of us out here in the ether talking on this small channel of mine. But, it's insane. Brett Montgomery says, and with those whistleblower awards, if Ken Griffin could get to those people first, he'd double it not to be snitched on. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Thomas says, conflict of interest with third party of former SEC affiliates. 100%. 100%. Candace getting lots of love. Candace, you're well loved here. And we think about what happened to you and often. So God bless you. All right. Who in the chat likes catching hypocritical politicians in their own words? Nancy Pelosi. Brett, I know you've been waiting for this one. I'm not going to play the whole clip because it's long. But hey, let's play a little bit of this and listen and tell me who it sounds like. Tell me who it sounds like. I'll give you guys, a little time to watch.
How big a trade deficit and loss of jobs for the American worker, and how much more dangerous proliferation has to exist before members of this House of Representatives will say, I will not endorse the status quo. As I mentioned, it's about jobs, proliferation, and human rights. And there are those who say we shouldn't link human rights and trade and proliferation and trade. I disagree. But if we just want to take up this issue on the basis of economics alone, indeed, China should not receive most favored nation status.
What? I thought we loved China. I thought Trump was mean to China. Hold on.
For several reasons that I'd like to go into now. I'd like to call the attention of our colleagues to this chart on the status quo that the business community is asking each and every one of us to endorse today. Right now, we have a $34 billion trade deficit with China, the 1995 figure. It will be over $40 billion for 1996. Since the Tiananmen Square massacre, this figure has increased 1,000%, from $3.5 billion then to about $34 billion now. In terms of tariffs, I think it's interesting to note that the average U.S. MFN tariff on Chinese goods coming into the United States is 2%.
Hold on. Nancy, are you saying that other nations are taking advantage of us? Nancy, are you saying that tariffs are good? We should have more tariffs? Nancy, tell me more.
Whereas the average Chinese MFN tariff on U.S. goods going into China is 35%. Is that reciprocal? On exports, China only allows certain industries into China, of U.S. Industries into China, and therefore only 2% of U.S. exports are allowed into China. On the other hand, the U.S. allows China to flood our markets with a third of their exports, and that'll probably go over 40%. And it's limitless because we have not placed any restriction.
Dear God, no restrictions. This is terrible. This is terrible. Nancy, please tell me it's not so. We should never, my God. I mean, these numbers are insane. I don't even know what to do with it. I'm really worried. So I think we need to hear from somebody else. I really do. We need to, I just don't know if I believe it. I just don't know if I believe you. So but I know Bernie cares about the people. So Bernie, would you please tell us what you think about what's going on?
Not only did I vote against all of these trade agreements, NAFTA, PNTR with China, and all of those, I was on the picket lines in early 1990s with the unions. We understood what was going on, please. Right. And Secretary Clinton, on the other hand, supported virtually all of these trade agreements, which have turned out to be an unmitigated disaster for working class people.
Whoa, what? Our trade agreements are an unmitigated disaster for workers? No, that's not what the Democrats have been telling me. That's not, no. Donald Trump, that's orange mother effing Kool-Aid man, he's the one who's telling me that our trade deals are disasters. And Bernie, we worship you. You have never worked a job. You've been in Congress. You have 3 multi-million-dollar houses, and we worship you because you hate millionaires. So please tell me what you really think.
She's now on your side on this. Well, she's now on my side on many issues. Yeah. But the question is, where were you when it mattered? And what it mattered in the 1990s was to say, sorry, we're not going to create trade policies which are going to throw millions of American workers out on the street. And by the way, it is not only the loss of millions of jobs because of NAFTA and PNTR with China, where companies are searching for cheap labor around the world. There's something else that we don't discuss, and it's what we call the race to the bottom. Recently, there's been a little bit of an uptick in manufacturing in America. Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Bernie Trump. I just don't know if I could trust this man anymore. He sounds like Orange Man bad. I just don't believe it. I don't think Bernie really means it. This has got to be a joke they're playing on the Burn Man, right? I don't know. Let's see.
Further, what they have said is that we need to not worry about manufacturing in America, because what we should establish is a policy of unfettered free trade. We don't need tariffs. What we need is to allow corporate America the freedom to throw American workers out on the street, people who are making 15, 20, 25 bucks an hour, healthcare, pensions, throw them out on the street, because somehow, Madam President, we are going to create wealth in America and good paying jobs in America as we shut down plants. We move to China, corporations there pay workers 20, 30 cents an hour, and we bring the product back into this country. And anyone who goes shopping in a mall knows how difficult it is today to find the product made in America. But that is the philosophy. And I have to say, in that regard, the champion, and he is honest on this one. Senator McCain has been criticized recently for not being the most honest candidate we have seen in terms of his ads and so forth. He has been honest on this one. He is the lead advocate of unfettered free trade. And that's an also important part of this right-wing ideology, that it is good for America that corporations can go to China and bring products back into this country.
What is happening right now? My leftist brain is melting. Surely this cannot be that the Democrats came up with this idea long before Trump. It can't be. I don't believe it. I don't. Oh, crap.
When it comes to the international system of commerce and trade, it's legitimate for poorer countries to continue to seek access to wealthier markets. And by the way, wealthier markets, that's not the big problem that you're having. A small African country is sending you tea and flowers. That's not your biggest economic challenge. It's also proper for advanced economies like the United States to insist on reciprocity from nations like China that are no longer solely poor countries, to make sure that they're providing access to their markets and that they stop taking intellectual property and hacking our servers. When it comes to the international system,
what is happening right now? No, please don't tell me, like, this can't be that the Democrats were just like Trump. This is melting our brains. We can't. Make sure you guys don't share any of this, because this just can't get out there. It could ruin everything.
Thank the gentleman, salute him for his work on this, rise in support of the amendment. First of all, Social Security card is used from one end of America to the other as an identification card right now. Who are we kidding? If you want to pass a law and says it shouldn't be, I would ask the chairman and the distinguished minority member of the Social Security committee to pass that law. But let's admit the truth. Everywhere people go, they're asked for a Social Security card. In fact, one way to prove you're a bona fide person who can have a job is to ask for a driver's license and a Social Security card. This is an anti-fraud amendment. Over where we go, people say, well, why can't you stop illegal immigrants or others?
Whoa, what? Did he just say illegal immigrants? I just thought they were undocumented workers. What the?
From coming here. And the number one answer we give our constituents is when they come here, they can get jobs, get benefits against the law because of fraud. And here, the gentleman from Florida has put together the most effective anti-fraud measure we can find without it changing the actions of the government one bit. And we find...
Whoa. We could find all the fraud and it wouldn't change what's going on in the government. It wouldn't be a problem. What? But Chuck, weren't you just calling out Doge? What is happening?
Find all this opposition. Ladies and gentlemen of this chamber, what I worry about is that this bill, which started out with good intentions, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, is going to end up being the same kind of thing that the public gets angry with us on. We say we're doing something, and we do nothing. Because every time someone makes a rational and small proposal to get something done, people say, well, what about this hypothetical, that hypothetical, et cetera. I urge support of this amendment. If you believe you want to stop fraud in immigration, you have no choice but to support this amendment.
Gentleman's time has expired.
I mean, everything we just watched through Pelosi, Chucky, Bernie, Obama, they now call us extreme right wing for every single thing they just said. When Trump came along, do you understand? Like, Trump is the ultimate moderate. He took everything the Democrats used to believe that was good, that made sense, and coupled it with all the best part of the Republicans, the free markets here in America, the family values, traditional values more so. He just all that, and got rid of the war stuff, and then he just, anyways. This is what's so crazy about how much they hate him. And it also just, it's so insane how many Democrat voters who are older, who lived through this, convince themselves that they didn't used to believe every damn thing he's doing. It's the craziest thing. I mean, there is no hypocrisy like being a Democrat. There just is none. It is the wildest thing. And I just, my God, I mean, it's exhausting. It's exhausting actually being somebody who does research. And I'm sure you guys feel the same way. JR says, and all of them literally can't wrap their head around why Trump got elected twice, right? Seriously. FGCV, is this video posted somewhere? That was 5 different videos that I compiled. And yeah, they're all on X. But you could always just share my compilation I just made too, if you want. Bradley, this young douchebag. Wasn't Chuck disgusting looking? Pierpont says, we would have been better off if Ross Perot had won, but the people weren't ready for it. So I agree with you, but I just don't think the people would have been ready for the changes he would have brought. And they are ready now. They're ready now. So they're going to throw me off YouTube with quotes from Democrats like that, right? I know they won't like it. I'll probably get hit tomorrow with with them taking down my video. But Clady says, I see the Federal Reserve hinting at bailing out hedge funds. No, I didn't see that. What did they say? That's sick. You know, there's going to be some stuff like that where they try to bail people out. Don't get me wrong. But the difference is this time, I don't think Trump's going to allow them to print. And that's a big difference. That's a big difference from the last time we've gone through stuff. Hero with the $10 super chat. Thank you, Hero. Greatly appreciate it. It says, great show. I appreciate that, Hero. I really do. Guess what? It's not even over yet. I'm not even done. And we're going late tonight. Sorry. I got a couple other things I want to go through. Here is, I don't know if you guys know who Chamath is, but he's awesome. He's on the All In podcast where they talk to a bunch of people who do, they're all from the Silicon Valley, billionaires, tech guys, but they all love Trump. And it says, The Economist put out today, Donald Trump has committed the most profound, harmful, and unnecessary economic error in the modern era. Almost everything he said on history, economics, technicalities of trade was utterly diluted. So that's the Economist take. There's their nice little thing. They hate those tariffs. Again, this is why I don't think they plan the stock market today. I think they're just terrified. But Chamath puts out, good thing this mouthpiece of globalist rhetoric is literally always wrong. Your cover just convinced me this will work. So again, more people waking up, and the All In podcast, one of the biggest podcasts in the world. So you got Rogan, you got all these other podcasts, you got all these wealthy guys who are successful on their own, coming in and just calling out the nonsense and standing on the side of the tariffs, which, well, and then we got this great little clip from Bessent today, who, knowing that this guy is our Treasury Secretary, we have a lot of upgrades in this administration, but Bessent over Yellen might be one of the most important and the most awesome. Obviously, RFK Jr. over the dude in a dress is it's the biggest. That's a runaway. That wasn't even a hard one. But Bessent is the one not being talked about as much. Him over Yellen is huge. And what he says right here is exactly what we need in the people directing our economy.
We're setting the stage for long-term economic growth, that we were on our way to a financial crisis.
Do you hear what he said? We were on our way to financial crisis. That's key. I mean, they know how bad it is. They're probably seeing stuff that we don't even get to see. And he's calling it out. We were on our way to financial crisis. Now, this is what I thought was very interesting, this next part.
You know, I used to teach a history of financial crises, and with that gigantic government spending, it was unsustainable. You look back in 1998, you look back in 2007, right before it looked great, everything collapsed. So, I mean, it looked great right before everything collapsed. So we have taken us off that trajectory, and we are putting ourselves back onto a sound trajectory.
So did you hear what he said there? That, to me, is a very interesting statement. He said, we've pulled off that trajectory. In other words, he's a guy, or he's gay, Bessent. But he said, we've pulled off that trajectory of financial crisis, which is very interesting to me. It tells me that the Trump team is actually so confident in what's going on with these tariffs and whatever else they pull off, probably the tax cut bill coming up as well. They're so confident in their economic policy. They're so confident in probably other stuff behind the scenes we don't know about. like Fort Knox. Anybody? What's going on there? But they're so confident that they don't believe. I mean, what Besant just said there means to me that he doesn't think we're actually going to have a soul-crushing recession or depression. But he also said we have some pain up front. Well, you know what kind of pain is faster than all other economic pain? Very fast, but also doesn't affect all the economy that much. It's the stock market. I think that they are putting in a ton of policies that are going to protect our economy so we can turn around fast and really grow in the economy, but they don't give two rats asses about the stock market. I think they're going to crash the stock market on purpose. I really do, to get income or get interest rates down, to get bond rates down for the refinancing, and then to use that to add to everything else they're doing to just make the economy hum. So we could have an epic stock market crash without an epic recession or depression. That is actually what I think they're trying to pull off. And if they pull it off, I'll say right now, if they are able to avoid a massive recession, depression, and build us into stuff without pumping the economy full of fake money, and without keeping the fake asset, with allowing the asset bubble to pop without it blowing up the rest of the economy, if they pull that off, it will be the greatest financial miracle ever pulled off in history, at least in American history, but I believe it probably all history. And they might do it. They might have figured out the areas of weakness that were so overlooked that nobody else would touch, like the tariffs and the trade deficit. They might have figured that out while also cutting with Doge and cutting out the fraud and stuff. They might pull this off. So I'm very interested in that. But he said it. And remember Trump, going all the way back to Trump's comment, the operation is over. The patient lived and is healing. Prognosis patient. This sounds like Trump thinks they pulled it off, or at least they're on their way to pulling it off. And then with what Besant said too. So just very interesting stuff. I always pay attention to these words that come out that don't make sense, that don't go with the regular narrative that politicians usually spin. So, and this is one of the reasons why, guys, it has to completely change. Look at this chart I came across today. It's insane. Intergenerational wealth. The share of national wealth owned by each generation by median cohort age. Look at this. Look at the boomers. By the time they were in their late 40s, they already had over 40% of the nation's wealth. The Generation X in their 40s, not even 20%. Millennials, they're only in their 30s, but they're tracking below Generation X. The boomers they got all the good out of this fake system, almost all of it. And now they're in their 60s and 70s, and they're way over 50%, probably at 60% now, because this ended 2019. This should make you all sick. You know that the millennial generations, like Generation X, is projected to inherit all this money, and so they're going to bounce up here really soon. But the millennial generation is the only generation in history tracking right now to make less money, to be worse off than the previous generation. That would be the first time in American history that happens if things don't turn around. This is why it has to happen. So, you know who's the most pissed about what Trump's doing? Okay, boomer. I hate to say it, but it's true. Everybody I know who's the most pissed about it, not counting Democrats because they've lost their minds. I mean, regular people, they're all boomers. Why? Because they have the most to lose. Why? Because the system was great to them, because they came of age before the price had to be paid for this system. So now they're going to be paying the price at the end of their lives. Gen X and millennials, we're going to pay the price, but it's not going to hurt us as much, especially not the millennials, because there's not that far for us to fall. And Gen Z will be the beneficiaries of getting a new system more than anybody else. But this is just crazy. But this if nothing else I've ever showed you guys, this tells the most of why the system is an abject failure. This is crazy. This is just crazy. I mean, it's the differentiation of how well, by the mid 30s, the boomers already had 20% of national wealth in America. That's insane. Gen X, by their mid 30s, not even 10%. That is a failed system. It's crazy. And I don't blame the boomers for this. They just took advantage of what was given them. But you can see how when the boomers are like, oh, you guys just don't work hard like I'm like, F you. Do you have no idea how hard I work? Do you know now, if you make $100,000 a year right now, that when I was in the 90s, if you made $100,000, you were set. That was the dream. Making $100,000, you were going to be Alan. Dude, Alan, don't even bring up the saving thing. I'm not saying you didn't save, but the fact that you had 20% by the time you were in your 30s has nothing to do with saving. You 30-year-old boomers were just as stupid as millennials and Gen X boomer or 30-year-olds. I'm sorry, it's true. So don't give me that we saved. That's retarded. That is so stupid. I mean, I'm sorry. That's not the truth. You know why it's called the baby boom generation? Because you guys boomed as a generation of babies and you came into the great wealth from the greatest generation who passed it on to you after what they got from building up the economy after World War II. So I'm sorry. It's just, that's a crazy thing to say, Alan. Don't be a boomer. And I love you, Alan. You know, I love you. But that is not true of the boomers. The boomers, they spend and spend and spend. They had it good. You guys were able to buy houses at dirt cheap. Okay. You guys had your assets, your ability to buy assets is nothing compared to ours. It is so much harder. I'm not telling you didn't work hard, Alan. That's not what I'm saying. Just don't tell me it's because you saved. That's not true. I work 3 jobs now. Don't tell me it's only because you saved. That's ridiculous. Things were so much easier for you guys. It was so much easier for you guys. College for you guys was like $4,000. Come on. Even at today's rate, that's much lower. It's not even. You could buy on a teacher's salary in 1980, you could buy a 3-bedroom house in San Diego. It's just insane. It's just insane. Okay, so it's not the same thing. But I'm not saying you didn't work hard, Alan. I'm not saying all boomers suck. Please don't get defensive. Okay. Don't get defensive. You're telling me your personal experience. I'm talking about a generation in general. Okay. It's a big difference. Anyways, what I was saying is if you make $100,000 today, okay, $100,000 today, in 1990, that's the equivalent of $230,000. Did you hear what I said? The average hourly wage in the 50s was $10 an hour. With $10 an hour, one person, and I know it's not the same rate, but listen, hear me out here. That's $1,600 a month. On $1,600 a month, you could afford a house payment, a car payment, and pay all your bills and have a yearly vacation. And guess what? $10 an hour was also the average wage in America. The average salary in America now is just over $50,000. I mean, it depends where you look. Some places say 72,000. But the point is that money is not worth what it used to be. And on 70,000, how far are you going when 24,000 is going to rent 2,000 a month and everything? It's insane, guys. It's insane. It's insane. Again, one of the most shocking numbers I've seen recently was $100,000 in the 1990s is the equivalent of $230,000 today. That's just in 30 years. That's how much the dollar has depreciated. And that's why if you make $100,000 today, you're not considered, if you have kids, you're not considered even upper middle class. Like, you are lower middle class. It's insane. It's insane. Alan, I'm not talking down to you, man. You don't have to defend yourself. I think many boomers are amazing. My grandpa is amazing. Okay. I'm not talking down to boomers in general. I'm stating a fact. Your money went much, much farther than ours does. And it was a lot easier for you guys to build wealth than it is for us. That's just a fact. There is no debate about this. That's not a knock on you, Alan. It's not a knock on you. But the point is you had so much more opportunity than we do. A regular job back then. And I'm not a socialist. I'm saying if we unleashed our economy again, we could build up this stuff again. It's just a fact. Well, you can take offense, but that's your choice. It's not my problem if you get offended. I'm sorry. Offense is always a person's problem, not anybody else's. If you get offended, that's up to you. Sorry, Alan. It's just the truth. I like you, Alan. I like you a lot, and I'm not talking down to you. But your generation had it easier. You just did. You just did. Do you know what the average house is today? The average house in America is $400,000. That's a starter home in America today. That's insane. These are just facts. These are just facts. And I'm sorry if the facts offend you. They shouldn't. You should just say, I worked my butt off. I got everything. I earned what I have. I don't have any regrets about it, because I don't want you to have regrets about it. I don't want you to have regrets about it. Yeah, Alan, your jobs were much better back then. Your jobs were much better. Much better. I'm not saying the work was better or easier. That's not what I'm saying. You got compensated much more fairly for your work back then than people do today, because the dollar is not worth that much today. $10 an hour back then in the 50s, regular average hourly wage for somebody who could live off of it. Today, and have kids, have a family, have a home. Today, you can barely raise a family. It depends where you live. A lot of it has to do with where you live. But even in poor areas, it's hard to have, you can't have all that stuff if you make 75 grand a year. It's insane, man. It's insane. That's how far it's gone, Alan. Okay. And it's not a knock on you, but Alan, we wouldn't have Trump, man, if this wasn't true. Okay. We wouldn't have Trump if this wasn't true. You don't need to be offended by it. You can say, it's okay. It's okay to accept the fact that your time was a much better time to live for building wealth. I'm not saying for everything, but for building wealth. Okay. That's it. That's what I'm getting down to. And there's just no debate. There's literally no debate about this. It is facts. And that's why Trump's doing what he's doing, because the middle class has been completely screwed in our country. And it really accelerated in the 70s. It really accelerated in the 70s. Once we decoupled from the gold standard. Robert says, grandpa worked, grandma didn't. They raised 4 kids, nice home, sent all 4 to college while having 3 to 4 cars at all times. They saved a bunch of money too. Gen X can't do that. 100%, Robert. 100%. Matthew Parker says his stepdad bought a house in Del Mar, San Diego for 75 grand in 74. That's insane. That's insane. Wow. Uncle Andy says a house my parents bought for 200 grand in 1985 is worth over 3 million today. These are facts. This is insane. We don't have the opportunities people had in the 70s and 80s. We just do not. We just don't. And that I am not somebody who complains. I work hard for my money. I work hard to support my family. I don't complain. I've made a lot of myself compared to where I started. This is not a complaint. It is stating facts. Alan, the wage gap decreased during the Reagan years, but that's 40 years ago. I didn't get any benefit from Reagan. Gen X didn't get any benefit from Reagan. Boomers mostly got benefits from Reagan's, man. Come on, Gen X were kids in the 90s. Yeah, house taxes are. Marco, what's up, man? How you doing? Anyways, Alan, I'm not attacking you, so I hope you don't see it like that. I'm just stating facts. We don't have the opportunity to accrue wealth that you guys did. Roger says, back then there were pension plans and most employers, they earned employee loyalty. Today, the name of the game, need to hop around to get ahead, no company loyalty. 100%. It is 100% true. You do not stick with a company nowadays unless you're very blessed. Darday says, all fake, like the stock market. Banks are thieves to the peasants, but get bailed out by government every time. 100%. He's exactly right. LMI, back in 1980, my dad made about $100K a year, bought a $50,000 house in a beautiful suburb in New York City. Mortgage $500 a month in 1980. That is crazy. Oh man. No, Brett, you're right. The interest rates were higher. Absolutely. The 70s, early 70s wasn't much higher than they are now, but the 80s had that big old boom of interest rates. Yeah, I know. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. But take a 17% mortgage on a house that's $80,000. You're still not paying as much as a 6% rate on a $400,000 house. And not even close, not even when adjusted for inflation. So crazy stuff. Anyways, Alan, I'm sorry if I offended you. That was not my intent. I think everything about you is awesome. You're a hard worker. You deserve what you got. That was not my point at all. So I really hope you don't hear me like that. I really do. This was not an attack on the boomers. It wasn't an attack. It was a fact stating that just how much things have changed. And it's not just that you guys were a better generation. Honestly, that's kind of a sick thing to say, because Gen X literally just voted Trump in. They saved the country. So we shouldn't be talking bad about other generations. Every generation has their own good stuff, but you just had a better time to accrue wealth. 80s were epic. Rum Dog says, couple what you said with today's poor work ethic, most young people don't want to work for it. They want handouts. Well, that's partially true. My kids want to work. So it's not true across the board. But whose fault is that, Rum? Let's not blame the kids. That's the fault of parents who baby their kids, that's been an attack on the family, because we sent the moms to work. So the kids now are raised by devices. The parents feel guilty. They never see their kids anymore. And so they let them get away with whatever. There's a lot of factors into this. It's not just that the kids are lazy. Okay. Parents make lazy kids. Paul Teixeira says, have you seen the Brandon Biggs prophecy about Trump getting shot in the ear? Yes, I did. Listen, I'm not a fan of Brandon Biggs. Okay. I've said this many times. He got that one right. And I'm not saying he never hears anything from God, but he's also had several prophecies that were wrong and that he also backtracked on. I think that guy just really loves attention. It's interesting. Alan says, some problems I see is most younger generation like needs more than needs. You mean wants more than needs? Well, yeah, but part of that is that they're babied. Okay. So the parents don't kick them out of the house and make them earn their stuff anymore. And the other part of that, and this is actually due to free trade in many ways, is now we get so much cheap crap from China, and people are depressed because they're not living real lives anymore. They don't have the money to own a nice home. They don't have the money to take their family on trips. So what do? They buy their kids junk. And so they pile up on the junk. And do some Americans have a saving problem? All that? Yeah, of course, I'm not going to argue that. I'm not going to argue that at all. But listen, boomers as teenagers and 20-some-year-olds, we're just as retarded as millennials and Gen Xers. I'm sorry, it's true. It's like maybe you guys were only 55% retarded and Gen X was 60% retarded. Maybe it's a little bit higher, but there's no way can anybody convince me that 20-year-olds at any generation were not a bunch of morons. I'm sorry. Or teenagers. It's just a universal truth. Doesn't matter who you are. So, Matthew Parker said, my stepdad was a school teacher. He bought a house in Del Mar. What did I just say? You could get a house in San Diego on a teacher's salary. I said that. Matthew Parker proved it. I called it. There is entitlement, but again, that's the parents' fault. William P. Farrand is in the house. God bless you, William. It is good to see you, friend. He just said ... but I see you and I love you. You're a good man. And I'm sorry we haven't talked in a while, but William, God bless you, man. It's good to see you. Alan says, I was a foreman plumber, taught younger. They want higher wages without learning. It takes years. I got tired of teaching. Oh, sure. Again, Alan, I'm not making excuses for people on a case-by-case basis. It's just not everybody, though. And again, it comes down to how the culture teaches them through media, TV, what they see on TV, what they hear on the radio, podcasts now, whatever it is. Culture teaches kids a little bit, and their parents are responsible for the rest. And also teachers. So a lot of parents now farm out their parenting to schools, and they don't really parent their kids. And so when you have teachers who are crazy leftists, that's what builds a generation who does all that. So again, that has a lot to do with it, but it still doesn't change the price of the assets. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. Okay, I got two other things I want to cover, and I will get back to the chat if I need to. But Trump said this today, and this is very cryptic, and I saved it for last because I don't really have any idea what he's talking about, but it's interesting, and maybe we'll learn more tomorrow in the next couple of days, but just listen to this. Oops.
How long Elon Musk's mission will last and when he will depart.
Well, Elon is fantastic, and I think he's a patriot, and I think it's a shame what they're doing with his car company. And a great car. It's a great car, great product. And it tells you what a patriot he is. He's amazing. No, I mean, as long as he'd like. I like smart people, and he's a smart person. I also like him personally. When he endorsed me, that's when I really got to know him. I knew him a little bit before that, but not much. And then he endorsed me. And it was a very strong, embracing endorsement, as we all know. And I would say Elon will stay for a certain period of time. And then he's going to want to get back to his businesses full time. But he's done a fantastic job. We found hundreds of, think of it, just hundreds of, we found millions of dollars of fraud and abuse and waste. And they're still going, I mean, they're going strong. They found something today that's horrible. It's horrible. So
what did they find today that's horrible? That's what we're all wondering.
What they found, well, you'll find out very soon. What they found is incredible. And
anyways, I'm not going to play the rest of the clip, but what they found was incredible, he says, and you're going to find out very soon. So I cannot wait to see what Doge has unearthed now. And you know what's interesting? Do you guys remember where Doge just entered? They just entered the SEC. So maybe it has something to do with our stuff, So anyways, Alan says, my 5 kids work at hard jobs, and yes, it's hard for them to make ends meet. Thank you. That's all I wanted to hear you say. Now we're friends. Can we be friends again, Alan? I really don't want to lose you as a friend. I really respect you and appreciate you. So, but can we be friends again now that we can agree on that? It sucks. It's hard, man. It's hard. There are not many good jobs anymore. There's not many good jobs. And I have what in the 90s or even early 2000s would have been, or even 8 years ago, I make a good salary based on that. And I live paycheck to paycheck. And last month, even with my job, which used to be a really good salary, and whatever else I scraped together by working on the side, doing these lives, all this stuff, I still live paycheck to paycheck. And last month I had to sell $2,000 of stock to make it. I mean, I'm just telling you guys, like, and I don't have that much stock. So it's hard. And like I said, even 8 years ago, if I was making what I made now, I'd be doing great. But now I'm struggling. It's hard, man. It's really hard. Matthew says maybe Congress, millions of fraud on the take. That would be interesting. Robert says he had a great union job in 1990, great money wise at least, but it was a life stealing job. Couldn't have a life in the job, on call, making 700, 800 a week just out of high school. Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. But yeah, it takes your life. It does. Dar says drilling, logging, mining going to open up lots of great jobs. It will. And nowadays it'll be better than it was in the old days if they, because you'll make decent wages, but also the work will be a lot easier because of the machines you can work with, and the inability to like work the crazy hours like they used to push. So, it's hard. Alan, yeah, again, man, I'm never attacking you. I'm not saying it was easy for you. That was never my point. I only was making the point it's easier to get assets. Dardaddy says most families don't have a couple grand put aside for emergency, but fact Trump will fix it. That's where I'm praying for, man. That is what I'm praying for and believing. That's why I'm all in on the man. All right, last thing tonight. Man, I've gone way over, but I hope you guys have enjoyed tonight's live. Please like if you did. We're going almost 2 hours tonight, so please like if you've enjoyed tonight's live. We've covered a lot. It's been, I feel like it's been a very engaging live, so I thank you guys for that. But if you've enjoyed tonight's live, please like and subscribe if you're new. I would greatly appreciate it. All right, last thing tonight, we got to talk about G-Bucks. G-Bucks, my friends, Ham, and listen, when Ham throws out price points, please do not take it literally. He's just saying what he thinks should happen based on how it trades. That is never a guarantee. So that's the caveat first of all. Secondly, he really believes that 7 is the number they've been trying to stay away from. They've been scared of getting back to 7. Well, guess what? We closed at 7 today. That to me is a big deal. The stock was up almost 25% at one point today, closed over 20%. That's a huge move in a day where the stock market's getting crushed. What does that tell you? It tells you the shorts are effed on this one, because the days when liquidity is completely dried up, guess what? This stock is running up. That's massive. That's absolutely massive. So again, I completely believe G-Bucks is going to do something big. I don't know how big. I don't know if big means $10 or $100. I don't know. I'm not putting a price on it. But I am telling you guys, G-Bucks looks ready to move. And today was, in my opinion, the biggest proof of all that this is a massive shorted stock that's set up for a short squeeze. Today was really proof of that. So pretty crazy. So I'm not giving you guys financial advice, just telling you what I see. But this, I'm very happy I have a position in G-Bucks, and I think you guys might, I don't know what it's going to do. But it's definitely not over. Not based on what we saw today. There was almost no volume, and it's just moving up. So Brett says 118 likes, 158 watchers, 32 would be great. It would be. So if you guys don't mind liking. Marco says favorite channel. Thank you, Marco. I appreciate that. All right, guys. I'm going to call it on that because I'm tired. This has been a very long show tonight, but well worth it. Listen, Alan says, am I sure DJT is shorted? Oh yeah, I'm absolutely sure it's shorted. I don't, I think DJT has the same problems like GameStop has had, and even Finger to a lesser extent. It's that all their energy is on it. There's so much focus on it. And just like GameStop, even though they have some money in the bank, not nearly as much as GameStop, and they've had some deals here and there, they don't have anything that's super exciting as far as a growth model yet. And so they just don't have that much to fight the shorts with. But do I think DJT shorted? Oh yeah. I mean, the times it's moved, are huge proof of that. I really trust Devin Nunes, and he's called out the shorting in DJT. So yeah, I have no doubts about DJT. The only question I have is when will it move and how high. That's it. So Matthew's got 2 shares. I love it. All right. God bless you guys. Let's say a quick prayer and get out of here. It's a late night, but I appreciate you guys. So please like and subscribe. And Matthew Parker, thank you so much for the support tonight. Hero at Large. Who else gave tonight? It's already erased. I can't remember. It was early, but just thank you guys for all the donations. And thank you, members, for just being loyal and for the $3 a month you donate to me every month. I greatly appreciate it. Members Live, definitely this weekend. I will let you know if we're doing it Friday or when. But love you guys. Really do. And I really think good things are coming. But the pain is coming too. But hopefully it won't be as bad as it was going to be because this team's amazing. But I do still think the stock market's got something big coming to it, and it's gonna be ugly, except for I think shorted stocks. So, anyways, God bless you guys. Let's pray real quick, and like and subscribe as you leave. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for what Trump and the team are doing and their bravery in implementing stuff that the entire media ecosystem is just going crazy on them about. But yeah, bless them, keep them protected, give them more and more wisdom as they move forward, and that the boldness won't leave. Don't let them grow weak under pressure, even if it gets hard for a bit. So I pray that they just see it through to the end, and pray that we all have wisdom in navigating these crazy times so we can still prosper and protect our money through whatever we go through. And God, just bless everybody in this chat. We pray for health for Thomas Dubois, that his cancer would go away. Pray for Candace's family, Lord, for comfort. Pray for Canada, this election coming up, God, that the Canadians would actually rise up and take their country back. They'd find that boldness. And there's a million other things. But anybody in this chat who needs healing right now or financial breakthrough or relationship breakthrough, I just pray for all of them that they would get their miracle in Jesus' name. So bless this night. Bless these people. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Bless our country. Amen. All right. Love you guys. Have a great night again. And thank you so much. You guys are the best. Members, I might see you tomorrow night. I'll let you know. I'm pretty tired, so I don't know if I can do another late live, but we'll see how it goes. Definitely this weekend. So keep your eyes open. If you want to be in the member live and you're not a member, it's only $3. $3. So if you want to be in those special crazy lives, get in. Brett says, remember to stay retarded. You never go full, Brett. You never go full. All right. God bless you guys. Have a great night. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.